Aces Obstaces 2-1, request taxi, single shift.
010 midfield wind, 060 at 12, gust 20, cleared for takeoff, change departure.
So Russia has unveiled a new fighter jet with the intention of eventually selling it to the rest of the world. People are calling it a direct competitor to the American.
September 23, 2024. A U.S. Air Force F-16 is flying a routine patrol near Alaska when, out of nowhere, a Russian Su-35 fighter jet screams past, just feet away. The radar warning receiver blares. The pilot's heart races. This isn't a drill. Russian military aircraft have been caught operating dangerously close to U.S. territory, in what's known as the Alaska Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ, a critical buffer zone just beyond U.S. sovereign airspace. But why are Russian jets testing these boundaries? What does it mean for global tensions? And could this spark a larger conflict?
Some static display. These are touchscreen glass panels here with all, basically all the avionics and flight information, navigation system here.
Today, we're diving deep into these recent incidents, why they're happening, and what they reveal about the high-stakes game of aerial cat and mouse. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're fascinated by military aviation, global geopolitics, or just want to know why Russian fighter jets are flying so close to U.S. territory, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll break down the recent incidents, the technology and tactics involved, and what's really at stake. Stick around, because this is a story of power, provocation, and precision. Let's start with what happened. The Alaska Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ, isn't U.S. sovereign airspace. It's a buffer zone in international airspace, stretching about 150 miles from the U.S. coast, designed to give early warning of potential threats.
We will know their intent and we will move out and we'll execute those policies from a military perspective and a diplomacy perspective as well.
Aircraft entering the ADIZ are expected to identify themselves for national security reasons. But in recent years, Russian military aircraft have been pushing the limits, flying into this zone with increasing frequency and boldness. On September 23, 2024, a Russian Su-35 performed what the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, called an unsafe and unprofessional maneuver, buzzing a U.S. F-16 within just a few feet. The video, released by NORAD, is chilling. You see the Russian jet whip past, wings tilted, rocking the F-16 in its wake. General Gregory Guillot, NORAD's commander, didn't mince words, saying the Su-35's actions endangered all, and were not what you'd see in a professional air force. But this wasn't a one-off. Just weeks earlier, on July 24, 2024, NORAD intercepted 2 Russian Tu-95 bombers and 2 Chinese H-6 bombers in the ADIZ, escorted by U.S. F-16s, F-35s, and Canadian CF-18s. And on December 18, 2024, 4 Russian warplanes were tracked in the same zone. NORAD says these incidents happen regularly, 26 times in 2023 alone, and 25 so far in 2024. None of these aircraft crossed into U.S. sovereign airspace, but their presence in the ADIZ is a clear signal. Russia, sometimes alongside China, is testing U.S. defenses. So, why does this matter? The ADIZ isn't just a line on a map. It's a strategic chessboard where nations flex their military muscle. Let's break down why Russian jets keep showing up and what they're trying to achieve. Russian flights into the ADIZ aren't random. They're calculated moves in a high-stakes geopolitical game. First, let's talk strategy. Russia has a long history of using its air force to probe NATO and U.S. defenses, testing response times, and gathering intelligence on how quickly fighters like the F-16 or F-22 can scramble. These flights often involve long-range bombers like the Tu-95 Bear, designed for reconnaissance and anti-submarine warfare, or agile fighters like the Su-35, built for air superiority. Think of it like a boxer jabbing to gauge their opponent's reflexes. By flying into the ADIZ, Russia forces the U.S. to respond, revealing details about radar coverage, intercept protocols, and even pilot behavior. It's a low-risk way to collect high-value intel. But there's more to it. These flights often coincide with global tensions, like Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine or joint military drills with China. For example, the July 2024 incident involved both Russian and Chinese bombers, a rare show of cooperation that raised eyebrows at the Pentagon. Russia's also sending a message: we can project power anywhere, even near your doorstep. Alaska's strategic location, close to Russia's eastern bases, makes it a perfect testing ground. The Aleutian Islands, just 1,200 miles from Russia, are particularly sensitive. In September 2024, the U.S. deployed 130 soldiers and mobile rocket launchers to Shemya Island in response to Russian and Chinese naval activity nearby. It's a clear escalation in the Arctic, where both sides are vying for dominance. Now, let's get into the tech. Russian jets like the Su-35 are no slouches. The Su-35 is a 4th generation fighter with advanced radar, thrust vectoring engines for insane maneuverability, and the ability to carry air-to-air missiles like the R-77. The Tu-95, while older, is a strategic bomber capable of carrying cruise missiles, including nuclear payloads. These aircraft are designed to challenge even the most advanced U.S. fighters. But the U.S. has an edge. The F-16s and F-35s used in these intercepts are equipped with cutting-edge sensors and data fusion systems. The F-35's helmet, for example, costs $400,000 and gives pilots a 360-degree view of the battlefield, streaming radar, infrared, and electronic warfare data directly into their eyes. When a Russian jet like the Su-35 pulls an aggressive stunt, the U.S. pilot isn't just reacting, they're processing a flood of real-time data to stay one step ahead. NORAD's response is a well-oiled machine. Using a layered network of satellites, ground-based radars, and airborne systems, they can detect aircraft far beyond the ADIZ. When Russian planes are spotted, fighters are scrambled from bases like Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Alaska. The goal? Shadow the intruders, identify them, and ensure they don't cross into sovereign airspace. But when a Russian jet buzzes a U.S. plane, like the Su-35 did on September 23rd, it's a deliberate provocation, pushing the limits of safety. These encounters aren't just about flexing muscle. They're dangerous. History shows how quickly things can spiral. In 1988, a Soviet warship bumped a U.S. Navy vessel in the Black Sea, nearly triggering a broader conflict. In 2023, a Russian Su-27 collided with a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone over the Black Sea, forcing it to crash. The September 2024 incident with the Su-35 was another close call. Too close for comfort. When a jet flies within feet of another at 500 miles per hour, there's no room for error. A miscalculation could lead to a collision, a crash, or worse, an international incident. U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan called the September 23rd encounter reckless and a sign of escalating aggression from Russia. He's pushing for a stronger U.S. military presence in Alaska to deter future provocations. But here's the question. What happens if one of these stunts goes wrong? Could a single spark ignite a larger conflict? What do you think? Are these Russian flights a bold power play or a risky mistake waiting to happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know if you want more deep dives into military aviation or geopolitics. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more.